Hi everyone, McBeard here. Welcome back to another Way of the Witcher card review. I'm doing another one with 7 cards here, and they're all pretty titanic. I think some of the bigger reviewers are coming out with some of the higher-end legendary cards for all the factions. So here we go. Ocean Mud dropped this one on us. This is the Koshki. And I'm going to pronounce it Koshki because I don't think it's Koshchi. And I think my Italian wife would be mad at me if she caught me not using the CH, the hard K. Yeah, it's Italian word. A Koshki. There's no K in Italian? Shit. Got me again. All right. So, Koshki. 10 provisions for a 4-strength insectoid with 3 armor. It's got Thrive. Whenever this unit's Thrive is triggered, spawn a drone on this row. Adrenaline 4. Whenever this unit's Thrive is triggered, spawn an Andraga larva on this row instead. What an interesting card. So, this card is... It's Kikamor Queen-esque, but it's very different, of course. It's not quite offering the same sort of power level, but it itself is still adding an amount of extra power to Thrive, which... honestly, Thrive usually does not need. Thrive is a very strong mechanic, and when you can protect it with armor, it has historically been a pain. Larva, one of the best cards at 5 provisions. Kikamor Queen is hard to remove. She starts with 2 armor, and she's already 5 strength. And then as you try to kill her, she's thriving back up again. So killing something at 7, I think it's going to be difficult. So now the monsters have the Koshki, and they have the Itter as well. 7 strength engines, in a way, 7 strength, roundabout way. Engines that represent a lot of future points. So is it time that we're going to see an engine overload monsters archetype? Because I think that these cards, they all seem pretty threatening, and we're not even done looking at this. But every single card for monsters has been an engine so far, if I'm not mistaken. Engine overload monsters seems pretty real. Caranthir with this card is gross. Yes, Caranthir now just has more good cards. But I mean, is it any more gross than Kikamor Queen? Kikamor Queen is the standard for gross. All right, here we go. Nilfgaard coming in with their big top-end legendary. We saw... Now, these are... Well, the reason why I'm calling these the big cards is they feel big because they were part of the trailer. Ivar Evil Eye representing the Viper School here. He is Big Boy Witcher, 10 provisions, 4 strength, on deploy, swap Ivar's power with an enemy unit. On deploy. Adrenaline 2, damage an enemy unit by 4 instead. This is a very interesting card. It's interesting because the effect is pretty damn good on deploy. Usually you have to work pretty hard to swap power. In fact, in most cases, swapping power, these have been win conditions for many decks. However, you cannot play this last say. You can't even play this. You have to play this with as at least your 4th card. So when you have 4 cards in your hand, that is the last opportunity you have to play Ivar for his effect. Remember when we started talking about Adrenaline? And I said some sort of offhand comment, like, can you imagine just changing Harold Gord to have Adrenaline 1 and you couldn't play it last? Like, how nerfed would that be? This card kind of represents Adrenaline curbing insanity, right? It curbs the insanity, but the card is very strong. This is a card that swaps power. So like any boosts, like first of all, Nilfgaard has done historically lots of things with this, Nilfgaardian Knight and things like that, playing an effect that I always used to like to call diplomacy. Never really was keyworded or anything like that, but I did like the idea. However, on the Adrenaline side, it just becomes, what is it, the Enraged Ifrit. If you had to settle for that, you would. So if your opponent plays around this, then, oh well, I can just remove something at 4 and play a more else, you know? You can't use this as last card like Uncle Baron. Exactly, because of Adrenaline. The Adrenaline in this case hurts this card's ability. So I think it's a very interesting card. It presents an evaluation that we've never had to make before. When you see a card that's got an incredible power swing, it's just kind of understood that the later you play it, especially if the opponent can't answer it, it's just going to be really good. In fact, you could probably build a whole win condition around it. Osrel is an example of one of those cards. For a very long time, Azrael has been a core card, commonly seen as a final play for the big points, and that card only got better when they introduced bigger and better cards like Igern. And you will never have a better card to do it because you will just play it last say, uninteractable. Ivar Evil Eye is representing a card that can have an extremely high ceiling, but you'll never get to last say it. And I'll be real, I don't know how to evaluate that, because this is the first time we've seen a card truly balanced like that. Just to have that craziness curbed. And I'm happy to find out, but the reason why I'll say this card is probably very good is because a 4 strength card that deals 4 damage for 10 as a downside to a card that has the potential to just rock a game when it comes down to, like, you're playing down to like a low amount of cards in round 1, you're on red coin, your opponent has a huge unit, and that just tips the scales completely. And you're not incentivized to hold on to this until later. It's not good later. It would be better for it to serve you now, much like Goliath's huge reach, point swing reach, or Gurn's huge point swing reach when your opponent can't answer it, always makes monsters feel safer. Big units can tend to make Nilfgaard feel safer. And what is Nilfgaard lacking right now? Points. So Ivar, if you need to win round 1, this guy's going to take it for you. I think this guy's going to be a round 1 superstar. I think the card's just going to be very strong. Very good. Hybrid. Oh, man. Here's a new... This is a good card. This is a good card, my friends. New monsters card, bronze card. Starting to see a little bit more of what monsters have on offer, and it's mutants. This one being a beast. So, it looks like monsters getting ogroids, beasts, and insectoids in equal measure. So with a beast comes another target for spontaneous mutation. So this can be easily boosted up to 8. Sorry, boosted by 8 if you wanted to. Although I think this unit probably is going to grow pretty tall anyway, if you're going to be doing anything with this card. Because this card, you can drop it and then activate your Barghest, Desert Banshee, any consume effect, and it's going to grow right away. So it starts off as a 5-point engine. Also, this is anytime you consume a unit. So you can trigger this multiple times a turn. And monsters have historically done really well with this effect. In fact, I believe it was the Necker, the original consume, that one of the archetypes I don't like. It had a massive amount of synergy with instances of consuming a card. So kind of a throwback. I think it's pretty good that it's a beast, because I think that beasts, I don't know, I think Morvad, I think we're going all the way with Morvad in the expansion. I believe. I think I'm going to take up ownership of this card. Go Morvad hybrid. And of course, another card for the portal consideration. Makes me wonder what faction is not going to have a portal consideration at this rate. The adrenaline keyword, it means if you have this many cards in hand. Let's talk about the Cat Witcher Mentor. So it seems like the trend is, if it's a mentor of the Witcher school, it's a card you're playing for big points. It seems like they are all doing that. They all do that at this point. The Bear Witcher Mentor, when coupled with Armor Up and perhaps a Bear Witcher, the thing that it damaged, the thing that Armor Up damaged, or perhaps a Bear Witcher Adept that is also damaged. The Bear Witcher Mentor is a mountain of points. And the Viper Witcher Mentor, if he hits a massive card, he's being played for a bunch of points as well. The Griffin Witcher Mentor doesn't do that, but appears to be the highest strength Witcher, so you could at least say that much. And the Cat Witcher Mentor is now, boom, points. Yeah, NR is kind of like, NR, you get a new engine. It's better than anything you've ever had before. But again, much like the Carrot Cutthroat, just doing good stuff. Griffin Witcher Adept. Griffin Witcher Adept has a lot built around it, for sure. Because Griffin Witcher Adept cares about target practice. And, well, anything that creates a token, I'm assuming there's going to be more. There has to be, right? The Griffin Witcher Mentor has a mulligan ability. And Cohen is reverse Shiru. Yeah, I am just dying to know what the rest of these cards are. All right, the Cat Witcher Mentor. Let's talk about the Mentor for scoia'tael, though. So, 5 provisions for a 1-strength Witcher. On deploy, boost self by the number of other cards on this row. So very similar to the Mahakam Guard, but for any card. Adrenaline 4, whenever a card appears on this row, boost self by 1. So this is actually a really cool card. So the way you would want to play this card is you play it on a row for as much as you can, and then you move it. It's whenever a card appears on this row. This is the first time you've ever seen wording like this. This means this counts for spawned. This counts for played. This counts for when a card moves from one to another, I imagine. So I imagine if you time your moves properly, if you move this card first, the other two, like let's say you used Nivellen, the other 2 cards that you would move would immediately boost this card by 1 if it's Adrenaline time. It's a card as well, so artifacts count, right? So yeah, this is just going to be a big, beefy scoia'tael card. So we're talking about, I've been talking about Tempo a lot the last couple of videos because the Bear School looks like they have it. Nilfgaard looks like they might get it with some of these cards. It looks like they might actually be able to find points in some of these Witchers, but scoia'tael is not lacking for it either. They've got a crazy engine with the jumping around, the Cat School Witcher, the Cat Witcher, the one that actually moves around a lot. And of course, it moving around would also boost the Mentor. Like when Adrenaline hits, it seems like the way you want to play a Witcher deck, for the most part, is the later in the round it is, the stronger you are. But not every card is like that. But it appears like you can probably say that most of the collection is representing the danger of taking a Witcher deck deep into a round because they'll start to get massive value out of their cards. So you would want to make sure that they have to struggle early, if that's even possible. But I think this card is great, and it works with a lot of the other movement stuff already. So I think this set is, you can tell a set's good when you got to go back and actually look at how the set's all working together. So a little Witcher 1 memories. Lorenzo Mastroianni does it again with it. This wild artwork. Another gruesome take. Fallen Rayla is an 11-point Salamandra unit. 5 strength for a human mutant who is also a Salamandra unit. Rayla has Profit 3 and Tribute 3. Gain Veil. Adrenaline 3. Whenever you pay a tribute ability, boost self by that tribute's cost. This is an interesting take because this Adrenaline ability and this Profit ability and this Tribute ability, you may or may not care about them at any given time. You might want the Profit, not care about the Veil. You might want the you might not care about the Adrenaline, play Rayla early, but if you play her late, she will trigger her own Adrenaline and then she'll drop at 8 because you have paid 3 tribute, and so she will immediately be boosting herself by 8. Any tribute you pay, the coins you spend, that's the boost. If you paid 0, it boosts 0. If you paid 1 less due to off the books, you paid 1 less. Thanks to Mole Legion on Twitter, clarifying this for a lot of people that asked. It doesn't work with Louisa. You have a reason to want to pay those big tributes. Your hordes are better because you want to hoard up for those big tributes. Black Rayla will have, she can't lock her. This is a really strong card, dudes. This is a strong card. Now, it's going to remind me of the Syndicate of old. The difficulty of beating Syndicate before was that they could just actually just knock the shit out of you with Savola and Louisa and some other crazy chunky card. But you could bleed that out of them. You bleed. It worked pretty well for me. So I think we're going to come back to a world where Syndicate, you can't leave them unchecked. This card will end you. Savola will end you. You need to be prepared for that kind of stuff. I think that anything else that Syndicate can run, if you can slot in a combo like that, you could consider running this. Tin Boy and Savola are both high tribute, so one can be free, and the other... Yeah, exactly. You could run them both. Yeah, I see what you're saying, unrelenting, yeah. You run Louisa, so if you do get the free tribute, all right. And if you don't, well, Rayla's going to boost twice, if you can afford it. Now, how could you afford it? How could you afford How could you possibly afford two 9 coin tributes? Well, one way to do it is by using the stolen mutagens and poisoning an allied unit with salamander units on the board, of which Rayla is one, of which Savola is also one, if you needed more. And just gain 8 coins. Boom. I don't think you're going to be, I think if you want to make the money, I don't think all these cards are going to work in the same deck, but I think that Rayla is strong enough that you probably build around her and she will help you she'll be a nice finisher. Or I could be wrong. I could be over-evaluating her because she just is a good-looking card. And the cool thing about it is, much like Ivar, look at the design. Like, it just looks like a card, like a playing card. Like the way they have the symmetry, beautiful artwork, and the way we've seen these cards move in the premiums. Yeah, a key card. Yeah. So this is the key card for Salamandra, and this is the key card for for Nilfgaard, and this one is looking like the key card for Scoia'tael, but I'll talk about that in a moment. Shinmiri just dropped that one on us. We have another bronze to talk about, another big one. A 52 card deck of Gwent playing cards would buy instantly. Yeah, just art. Just art and numbers for the playing cards. Yeah. I would play, and just 4 factions for the 4 suits. I think I would just get into streaming Texas Hold'em with Gwent cards. What a great idea. Griffin Witcher, a new Northern Realms card. Oh my goodness. This card has people talking. 5 provisions for a 4-strength Witcher who has an order when on melee row. Damage an enemy unit by 1, cooldown 1. Adrenaline 3. At the end of your turn, damage a random enemy unit by 3 and lock self. Okay, so the adrenaline on this card, I can see the whole thing. He's like, the Griffin Witchers don't have chill. They don't have chill, right? They're like, all right, I see one. Nice. I see one over there. I see one there. Now it's adrenaline 3, and it's just like, ah! The not so funny part here would be that this engine is legitimately quite stronger than we've seen some cards be in this slot. This is openly deck builder worthy, I would say, because a 4-point engine at 5 that deals damage traditionally have not stuck around for long. The mages, the Sintron Spellweavers, they have too high of a requirement. The Lyrian Arbalests, nerfed. They can't. I think are they 3 and 1? Are they still 3 strength right now? It's been so long, and they add armor and stuff. I actually do forget. But I know that this guy is representing a threat. The reason why I think that this card is probably not going to be overrunning the meta, anything with a Rolock in this expansion, it's going to move. It's going to get moved. But certainly, what is a Northern Realms engine without a good old-fashioned Rolocking? But it's got to have a drawback. I think time has told that it's got to have a drawback. But what this card also has is a crazy strong interaction with Veil. Because if you put Veil on this unit, it doesn't lock itself anymore. It just starts firing off, pop, every turn, 3. It becomes a damaging engine for 3. One of the craziest, aggressive 5-point cards you'll ever see. The Carrick Frigate of this expansion. The card that is going to see a lot of play. Because this isn't just a card in a vacuum. Northern Realms has all the tools to make this card amazing. First of all, you bring it out with a shield, Geralt Gwent. You could bring it out with a boost, Amphibious Assault. You could protect it with Shield Wall. You could protect it with Engineering Solution. You could protect it with a billion other ways. It's going to be dangerous. Also, you do have Siege Ladder. You would probably consider playing cards like that because of how important it would be to get these guys back online. These ain't reinforced trebuchets. This card has just... The potential is pretty wild, and all you have to do is apply Veil to it. And I don't think that's going to be too hard. There's a very well-costed neutral card that does it. Marlene to Trastamara, and you can do it with the new stratagem, Crystal Skull. Anyway, the card's dope. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's just really good. All the straight up Witcher cards seem to be very good. So the Bear Witcher, I would say, is probably the least impressive of all the Witcher cards. Like the school Witcher cards. All right. Arnaghad is the latest reveal. 10 provisions for a 7 strength Witcher. On deploy, gain 1 armor for every damaged unit on both sides of the board in this case. Adrenaline 4. When your opponent plays a unit, damage that unit by Arnaghad's power, and then damage Arnaghad by that unit's power. Getting some Sabbath vibes from this, right? You get some Sabbath vibes from this card. I can't wait to see the discussion around this card, because it kind of represents another attempt at an effect where this guy's on the board and he's going to take care of business. He's like, you can't, Arnaghad's here. Oh, well, I can't do anything now. Like, it's going to be something like that. So, a couple of things to note, of course. If you play this card next to Sucrus, Arnaghad will not get damaged. And if Arnaghad is not getting damaged, then it means that for every turn after Adrenaline 4, he will damage every unit you play, and you will not be able to damage Arnaghad. Is that familiar? It's not familiar to me. This is the best Quen pull in existence, Jamoni is saying. I think that it definitely can be, and definitely will be. The answer is yes. Because giving it a shield, that's 1 round of immunity, 1 extra round that Arnaghad's going to be fighting back. You need an answer for Arnaghad. Now, thankfully, much like the Griffin Witcher, you could make the argument that this card is being released into a world of a bad matchup. Because if Nilfgaard is around, I'm pretty sure Leo Bonhart will be played. And if Leo Bonhart is played, it won't matter how big, how many shields, how much armor is on Arnaghad, Leo will just kill Arnaghad. Sucrus will not save him either. You will have to use Defender. So you play around Defender, and you carry Leo, and you always beat Arnaghad. Now, we can't all play Nilfgaard. However, I think that treating Arnaghad like the ultimate thing that I need to remove after Defender, I think it won't be that oppressive. But I will give it the opportunity to blow me out of the water on how wrong I am, because I have a hard time reading the text on this card and saying, that's not very good. In fact, I would say that I wouldn't be surprised if this card is crazy, crazy, crazy strong. But I don't think I'm brave enough to go out there and say that it is, because it's a Witcher and there's counterplay. But I know that if you get caught by this card, you're done. You're done. And the reason why that is dangerous is because people don't like the idea that you've lost the game 4 cards ago because you couldn't beat one of those cards. So your opponent can build a whole deck around protecting and playing Arnaghad. So the reason why you get that Imlerith Sabbath vibes isn't so much what he does, but it is. But it's also the idea that when you have a card that's this strong that does this, you will have players that will try probably for a while to break it if it looks promising. If there is a deck in which Arnaghad can be protected reliably, it's going to feel broken. And I don't like that. I hate that word when I talk about card games. You know, I used to just say that was cheese, but maybe I will say cheese. And I will say that this card, it's a little stinky. It's a little stinky, this card. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Well, just when you thought the video was over. Haha, it's not. It is not at all over, because we just had another drop from Ash Philo. We have another new card to talk about. Scoia'tael is coming back with some really cool artwork here, I gotta say. 7 provisions for a 5 strength Scoia'tael Witcher, representing the cat school, no doubt. Deploy, move other cards from this row to another row. Damage a random enemy for every card moved by 1. Okay, processing. So it takes all your cards from one row and puts them all in the other row. Perfect situation, 13 for 7. So yeah, you play late game. No adrenaline or anything on this. It only cares about the row. You can. It's not hard to fill the board up with scoia'tael. It's quite easy. And so you can create this perfect situation pretty easily, right? Deadeye ambush, but it's random. But it's rat-a-tat-tat, right? But of course, we have a bunch of cards that care about being moved. Care when they are moved, care when other cards are moved. Yeah, movement's really back on the menu. So, but it's moving your cards. So we have, so you set up for a giant oak, but you also can just be setting up for Catwitcher Mentor as well. Also, you could be putting Catwitcher Mentor on the other row and then boosting. Well, this would not be as good, but it depends on how many things you're moving. But everything that moves onto the Catwitcher Mentor's row would apply the boost as well. And also, like Malegian said in his tweet, if Catwitcher moves before everything else that Gaetan moves, then all of those boosts go on the Catwitcher Mentor as well. They could adjust the wording, but ultimately, so damage a random enemy, yeah. So the wording, if it works the way that I think it works, it could be worded, for each card moved, damage a random enemy by 1. These were some massive cards that were revealed, and it's just getting me more and more excited. Once again, if you're watching this now, if you're watching this before Sunday, 7 p.m. on the East Coast of North America, if you're watching before then, check your clock. If it's around that time, I'm going to go live with my card reveal. That's when that's going to be revealed. Can't tell if it's broken or just really good. Like, how can you counter this? I'm saying. It's hard to gauge when all I can see is how good it could be. I don't have to stretch my imagination, right? Anyway, take care, guys. Thanks very much for watching the video, and I will catch you next time.